Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining tonight's call. We are celebrating the National Entrepreneurship Week, and I am so excited about tonight's webinar. This webinar is being brought to you by Fresh Perspective Solutions. And tonight's presentation is about mental toughness and collaboration. I am so excited about our guest tonight because she is such an amazing woman and she has so much to offer to you guys as well as myself. So before I get into tonight's webinar, I wanted to go ahead and let you guys know, if this is your first time joining in, my name is Tiny Garlington. I am the CEO and founder of Fresh Perspective Solutions, where your vision is our mission. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a Grady baby. I'm a mother of two handsome sons, and I also have two grandkids. I love to read, and I use my hands to be creative because for me, that's a way for me to relieve stress and tension and all of that other stuff. I have 20 years in the service industry, and 14 of those years were spent in healthcare, where I learned a whole lot. I have my bachelor's degree in business management. I'm a graduate of University of Phoenix, and I also am working on my master's degree in business and healthcare administration with a concentration in informatics. So I'm all about data analysis and gathering information and developing solutions so that you as individuals, as corporations, as organizations, and as businesses can have the tools that you need to be able to be successful. I'm a professional project manager, and I'm also a Lean Six Sigma green belt. And no, people, that is not karate, but I will chop up a problem and come out with an amazing, amazing solution. I'm going to open up the line to Tanika Ty Smith Copeland, who is our guest for tonight, and I want to tell you a little bit about her. She is an entrepreneur since grade school, in which she offered goods and services. She loves helping people grow and develop. Each day she listens to something that focuses on personal development and growth. She loves to celebrate others who are accomplishing their goals and achieving success. She enjoys spending time with her family. So before I continue on, I want to open up the line and say thank you, Tanika, for joining us tonight. Can you hear me?
Yes, Tiny, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, I sure can. I just want to say thank you for joining in tonight because as we celebrate National Entrepreneurship Week, as entrepreneurs, I just felt that it was a need for us to give back and just provide others with the tools that they need to continue to be successful in their endeavors as entrepreneurs. Is there anything that you would like to share with the listeners before we dig deep into our subject for tonight, which is mental toughness and collaboration?
Well, Tiny, I just want to add, make sure that they have pen and paper handy so they can take copious notes because between the two of us, we will be sharing a wealth of knowledge based off our personal experience on entrepreneurship. So I'm excited to be on this call. And I hope that someone leave with something or information that they did not know prior to getting on this call.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we are going to go ahead and dig deep because tonight's call is all about mental toughness because we need that, and I'm sure that you can agree, Tanika, that we definitely need mental toughness in order to be able to sustain as entrepreneurs because it takes a lot to be an entrepreneur. We're basically a one-stop shop. However, when we get into our section into our focus on collaboration, that's where entrepreneurship gets a little easier. And you and I will be able to share our stories and our experiences as it pertains to collaboration and working together. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I have here is passion, joy, confidence, hope, and happiness are feelings and emotions. And this is by John Lohr, who is the author of Toughness Training for Life. And that is where our subject matter is coming from tonight, because this is an amazing book, and me being an avid reader and I love to go to the thrift store and just look at the book aisle and just find that book that's calling my name. What about you, Tanika?
That is so true. I love reading and finding different things that, put into me that I can deposit into others.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started into this thing. But when it comes to mental toughness, we have to be flexible, we have to be responsive, we have to be strengthened, and we have to be resilient. I'm going to read an excerpt from a summary from Mr. Lohr's book that says, emotion rules support and life. Passion, joy, love, confidence, hope, and even happiness are feelings and emotions. The right emotions empower our physical bodies and free our spirit. I'm going to stop right there, because if you are listening tonight, I want you to take this note and write down the words flexible, responsive, strengthened, and resilient. And Tanika, I want to talk about that tonight. Let's talk about this line in his summary that says the right emotions empower our physical bodies and free our spirits. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes, emotions are so important, because how we feel inwardly is what we give out outwardly, if that makes sense. If we get up and if we tell ourselves we feel good, we feel great, we will put out our best work and put our best foot forward. And it goes the same way. If we get up and we're not feeling our emotion is drab and not so upbeat, that's what we'll put into whatever it is that we're doing. So emotions is very important, because how we feel counteracts what we're giving out to the world.
Absolutely. And that is something this morning, when I got up this morning, I decided to try something a little different. And I listened to Eric Thomas. And that's something, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, but you guys who are listening on the phone, that's something that I picked up from Tanika in coming off of working a full-time job and going into entrepreneurship. That was something that I saw her do, and I picked up that habit. So now in the morning, I have to have that. I have to have something in my ear gates that allows me to get pumped up and allow me to get going, and something that allows me to let my faith be bigger than my fear. Because if you're on the line and you know what it feels like to go from a 9 to 5 where there's stability and you're constantly having a check coming in, to going into a situation where you are the check, where you are the person who has to go out and get it. And that's where being flexible comes in, because if you're not flexible, you don't have freedom of movement. If you're not flexible, you tend to tense up, and you can put yourself in a position to become damaged goods, where you don't have that mental muscle to be able to get out and meet people and network and go through the motions of building your brand. Now, next in this, he says, the wrong emotions block, trap, and blind us. Now, Tanika, when you hear that, what are some of the things that you would like to share with our listeners about being blocked, trapped, and being blinded?
Well, when your mind is blocked and trapped, you cannot properly think about the things that you need to be focused on. It will have a tendency to make you lack focus. When we have mental blocks, it keeps us from being productive. And your mental spirit and your mindset have to be in a place to where you can properly achieve your goals and the things that you have planned. As an entrepreneur, it's very important that we disregard and take all of the blocks and the things that will hinder us out of the way, because it's very hard and you have to put yourself on a real serious schedule and treat your entrepreneurship as if you're working for someone else. And a lot of people take that lightly. So you have to make sure it's all about mindset. Mindset is so important as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely, I totally agree, because we have to, and this leads into our next uh, portion of mental toughness, which is being responsive, because we've talked about being flexible. We've talked about waking up in the morning and getting your mental muscle together by putting things in your ear gate that's going to allow you to be able to get up and get started and get your engine running, so that you are able to provide what it is that people need. Because as entrepreneurs, that's what we do. We see a problem, or we have an idea, and we begin to mold and shape that idea into something that other people will buy into. However, if you don't have the mental toughness, when you knock on those doors, or you make those cold calls, or you go out to the networking event, and you're not flexible, and you're not mentally able to receive the rejection, you'll shut down, and you will begin to think that your idea isn't working. And I love the way Les Brown puts it when he says that if what you are doing is not working, it's not that it's a bad idea. It's just the fact that you need to go back to the drawing board and become creative. In this summary, he also says that fear, anger, fatigue, and uncontrolled depression disempower us. And he says often to a tragic degree. By setting up panic, mistakes, accidents, failures, poor health, and unhappiness. Clearly, toughness is vital to athletes, but it is equally important to all of us. So we have to be responsive. We have to be willing to set the bar high so that we have the maximum capacity for productivity, to make sure our health is intact, and most importantly, make sure that we are happy. Because as entrepreneurs, we have to be happy. We have to understand that we have to have a positive mind, positive vibes, in which we can live a positive life. So, Tanika, I want you to elaborate on that for us.
Being positive is so important. Just like you said, as far as being positive in your mind, you have a lot of things that come at us on a day-to-day basis, and having a positive mental attitude, PMA, is so important. W. Clement Stone has this thing. He's a thinker as well. Uh, did a collaboration with Napoleon Hill on success through a positive mental attitude. That's a great book that I recommend. It's authored by Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone. Again, that's success through a positive mental attitude. How's your PMA? We have to get up and what I do. I get up and I talk to myself. I look myself in the face in the mirror every morning and tell myself that I'm going to have a great day. I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel wealthy. And if we do these things, it might feel, quirky or feel kind of funny doing this stuff. But if we do it and be persistent at doing it, the atmosphere and the environment will adhere to what it is that we spoke out and we put into the world. So we have to say these things. You have to be positive about everything. I have that attitude of if the glass is half empty, I see it half full. And I try to find positive things that are positive even when things don't necessarily go right, the where people will call them failures. I call them as life lessons instead, because failures, that's defeat people don't like to associate, the emotions that go along with that because they're not all positive. So instead, I just call them life lessons. What did I learn? What could I have done better to make the situation different? And that's through having a positive mental attitude. So you have to make sure that your mental thoughtness and your mental toughness is in the right place to be able to withstand everything that you'll go through as an entrepreneur.
Awesome. And our last two attributes here are basically, they go hand in hand because we have to be strengthened and we have to be resilient. See, a resilient person is able to withstand and recover when difficult conditions happen. And I'm sure that you can relate to that as being an entrepreneur. Even myself, I can relate to that being in the corporate world as well as having experience in the entrepreneurship realm. And in order to recover, that mental toughness has to be at the forefront of your mind. When someone tells you no, or a deal falls through, or you find yourself in a deficit, you have to have that mental toughness. For those of you who are listening to the live call or listening to the replay, we want you to understand that having mental toughness as an entrepreneur is very critical. It's the heartbeat of your business. If you were having an EKG, I wonder what your business's EKG would look like. Are you flatline or are you having spikes? Flatline means basically you are dead. Your business is dead because you don't have the mental toughness. You don't have the capacity to be flexible, responsive, strengthened, and resilient. Now, I'm going to move into what the author talks about is IPS, which is Ideal Performance State. Before I get into that, I want to read these last couple of things to you. He tells us that toughness is both emotional and physical. Toughness is flexibility, responsiveness, strength, and resiliency under stress. In life, as a sport, the emotions rule. Toughness training puts you in control of your performance so that your career and your private life is something that is excelling rather than you're being stressed out and you can't think straight, you can't operate, you can't function. Lastly, he says achieving the maximum productivity, health, and happiness demand toughness. So as entrepreneurs, if you are in a state where you feel like your business is flatlining, I have great news for you. You can begin to build up your ideal performance state. And what is that? And I'm going to run through these really quickly because I have to make sure I monitor the time. But IPS is basically having balance, perspective, enjoyment, poise, calmness, positive energy, and passion to battle. So again, that is balance, perspective, enjoyment, poise, calmness, positive energy, and passion to battle. He didn't say that you had to go off of the edge. He didn't say when you're in front of your client and they are getting on your absolute last nerve to show that. He's not saying when someone says no for you to feel defeated. No, no, no. He's telling you to have passion to battle. Tanika, let's wrap up this session by talking about collaboration ruling the nation. And I have a couple of things that I want us to talk about really quickly as it pertains to collaboration, and that's planning, support, and commitment. Could you please share with our listeners what these words mean to you as it pertains to collaboration?
Well, when you're collaborating, it's important that you have a plan in place because a plan is very needed and necessary for you to take actionable steps to achieve the ultimate goal that you have. Not only and that's at the top. Along with that, we also have to have the proper support. Entrepreneurs can have a tendency to know how to do everything, one-man operation, and be able to do everything. But with proper support and being able to properly delegate things out to others, it takes some of the stress off of you being that only person. That's where the collaboration piece is really, really, really important. And that's something that I had to learn to embrace myself, because for so long I've been able to be successful without having a support system, or shall I say without having everyone else. But at some point our business can get to a point as to where we outgrow ourselves, and that's a good thing. Once we outgrow ourselves, that's where we have to take on the attitude of being able to properly collaborate with others to get the things done. Yes, you might know how to do certain things, but let's collaborate with someone else to make ourselves more effective as well as efficient in getting done with what it is that we need to do. And let's talk about commitment. Commitment is very important, because when we give a commitment and when we start things, we're committing ourselves to them, and there are certain expectations that go along with it, and we are expected to adhere to them to see it to the end. Sometimes entrepreneurs can get sidetracked by, other things that might come our way and put it on the back burner, but we have to make sure that we know our why we go into a certain project, or while we're doing certain things. That way our level of commitment will be reminded, or we will be reminded of our level of commitment that's needed to see the task through.
Absolutely.
And was the last one stability, or were you going to handle stability?
No, you can go ahead and take part of that, and I'll go ahead and wrap it up with my end of stability.
Okay. As far as stability, you have to be stable. You have to be committed. That's talking about commitment. But you also have to be stable and steadfast. Know exactly where you're going, what your goals are, and be able to communicate that with others to where they can know where you stand and which direction you're going in. Stability is so important, because creative people can have a tendency to be all over the place. But unless you have something solid, which your house should be built on a solid foundation to begin with. So being able to be solid and have the commitment, the support, and the planning in place that builds you up to the top of your house, then your stability will be even stronger after, having the proper people, the things, and the systems in place. And you have to have a system. You have to be systematic about doing things, because if not, you would just be, like you say, Tiny, flying by the seat of your pants. And I've done business that way. But when I adapted to creating systems and having checks and balances to where I can check myself, that's when I can see more progress happening within my business and getting things done in a manner to where I can celebrate, because I'm accomplishing goals.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for that, because that you said a mouthful there, and I hope that the listeners are taking notes, because, Tanika, I'm going to close out this session with an excerpt from a book that's called The Leadership Challenge: How to Make Extraordinary Things Happen in Organizations. And both of us, although we are two separate entities, we have collaborated and become one, because what we have done is we are holding each other accountable. We are ensuring that whatever goals and visions that we both have set for ourselves, we meet in the middle, we discuss them, we provide each other with feedback, and then we take action. And sometimes taking action may not happen right then and there. It may be something that we'll say to each other, no, I think we need to hold off on that. And because we have built a level of trust within us as two different entities, but our visions are similar, we have built such a trust that we know if someone says, no, we might need to take a pause for the cause and wait for a moment, that decision is respected. So James Kouzes and Barry Posner are the authors of this book called The Leadership Challenge: How to Make Extraordinary Things Happen in Organizations. And he provides us with a practice. And the practice is enabling others to act. And he says leaders know that they can't do it alone. They need partners to make extraordinary things happen in organizations. It says leaders invest in creating trustworthy relationships. They build spirited and cohesive teams. I'm going to stop right there and end with this. Foster collaboration by building trust and facilitating relationships. Strengthen others by increasing self-determination and developing competence. See, as entrepreneurs, you guys, we have to understand that we have to be mentally tough. We have to be prepared to make those connections with individuals who we meet. We have to be able to collaborate, and in the collaboration, we have to plan, support, be committed, and once we do these three things, we have the ability to have stable relationships that turn into extraordinary ideas, collaborations, business opportunities, and so much more. So I am Tiny Garlington, the CEO and founder of Fresh Perspective Solutions, which is a company that provides individuals with needs such as I'm so sorry, you guys. I lost my spot. Here we go. There we go. We provide problem solving, business strategy, organizational structure development, and so much more. I'm going to open up the line really quickly to Tanika Ty Smith Copeland and have her to I'll just tell you how you can reach her. You can reach her at The Real Tanika, Tenika, on Instagram, and you can find her on Facebook as Tanika Ty Smith Copeland. Thank you for joining this call. We really appreciate your time. May you all have a great night. Meet us back here tomorrow for day 4, where we're going to have another webinar celebrating you as entrepreneurs. Have a great night, everybody.